Your Honour, I'm ready to begin with the matter of Johnny Wishbone. My client is a juvenile and is Indigenous and has been charged with 106 offences. Your Honour, these are my submissions. As argument 1, I will submit that the Crown's evidence is in relation to the initial interview. The first interview involves my client being arrested and questioned at the scene. The police officers did not record anything and no notes were taken. Your Honour, the police officers are using what was spoken at the scene by my client as evidence and have put that in a statement. Furthermore, none of this has been put back to my client. As my second argument, Your Honour, I submit that after my client made the admissions in the initial interview, they placed him inside a police car and my client was further questioned. The police did not allow my client the option to leave and did not allow my client to contact his parents or a guardian. This represents a clear breach of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Act and the Police Powers and Responsibilities Code. Your Honour, I contend that the Crown is basing its evidence on the admissions that were made in the police vehicle where gratuitous concurrence seems to have occurred against my client. Your Honour, my third argument is that my client was taken to the police station and into an interview room and questioned once again without a parent or a guardian present. This is again a breach of the fundamental rules that have been in place since the Fitzgerald inquiry. Also, Your Honour, an unidentified person was present during the interview where my client makes full admissions. Nothing about this person was recorded in the statement. Just before the police officers come back in the interview room to question my client, this person goes on to tell my client to just tell the truth and answer the questions to the police officers. This shows they did not allow my client to exercise his right to silence. Your Honour, all this is clearly in breach of sections 421 subsections 1 and 2 of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Act, which states that if a police officer wants to question a person who they reasonably suspect is a child, then the police officer must allow that child to speak to a support person chosen by the child. Well, my client is easily identified as an Indigenous child and a support person was present during the interview, but that person was not picked by my client. So there was not an independent support person present. In respect of this also, Section 25 of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Regulation is also relevant and has also not been complied with. The police did not attempt to find out my client's level of education and understanding. And my client's parents were not contacted at all. Had my client's parents been available to be present during the interview to act as support persons, they might have advised my client not to speak to the police, to exercise his right to silence. This was all in the form of a record of interview where my client makes full admissions despite all of the breaches of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Code. Now, Your Honour, these sections of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Act are meant to be complied with. Section 5 of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Act highlights the objects of the Act, and subsection E is especially important here, in that it focuses on fairness and protecting the rights of persons against whom police officers exercise powers under this Act. This is further backed up by the findings in the Fitzgerald inquiry. Now, applying this to the current case in question, it was not complied with. So in conclusion, Your Honour, I ask that Your Honour consider that the only evidence against my client is that record of interview, And if Your Honour finds that it was made in breach of the Police Powers and Responsibilities Act and Code, I ask that Your Honour exercise your inherent discretion under the cases of Bunning and Cross and Aran Island and consider not allowing the record of interview against my client. Thank you, Your Honour.